They shall make an ark of acacia wood, Exodus 25. There's the second one. The third one is in 2 Kings. Then Jehoiada, the priest, took a chest and bored holes in the lid. A chest. That's the third ark, Aron. The Hebrew word for the Ark of Noah is tevah. And it's a vessel, a floating vessel. And that's the word that is used for the Ark of Moshe, or the basket that Moshe was put in. It was a tevah. It's a floating vessel. So Aron literally just means, as we see from the scriptures, it means a box. It really doesn't sound that special, does it? The Hebrew root of that is the word or. What's or mean? Light. Light is another word for order. Hebrews liked order. Okay, I think most of us do. Hebrew understood light as order. If it was in darkness, there's disorder. Light brings about order. Genesis 1:3. And God said, let there be light. He was what do you do when you walk into a dark room? What's the first thing you do? Turn on the light so you can see what's going on. God turned on the lights. A box is used to make order. You place things in it so that you don't have a bunch of toys scattered all over the floor. They shall make an ark of acacia wood. Is it important that it was made out of acacia wood? Is there any significance to that? Yes, there is. This is the thorns of an acacia tree. The acacia tree, there are many different species. One of those in the land of Israel grows these huge thorns on it. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, and he looked, and lo, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. That word there for bush, where is it? Bush, is sine. It's a thorn. It's a thorn bush. The bush, the burning bush, it wasn't just any old bush. It was a bush that had thorns, or a plant that had thorns. Could it have been the acacia tree? Maybe. We don't know for sure. We just know that it had thorns. These are the blossoms of the acacia tree. We talked about blossoms and tzitzit yesterday. Where does honey come from? Bees. Devorah. Bees. They go to flowering plants of many different varieties, bring it back, and they make honey. What happens to honey when it sits on the shelf for a long period of time? Doesn't that bug you? Okay? Kind of ruins it. Okay? When bees make honey from these flowers, from the acacia, it is the only honey that will never crystallize. Never. My son, eat honey, for it is good, and the drippings of the honeycomb are sweet to your taste. Know that wisdom is such to your soul. Wisdom is like honey. Where do we find our wisdom? The Torah. The Torah is honey. The rabbis would, when they're teaching children, they'd open up their Bible, and everywhere the name of God was, the Yahweh, they would place a piece of candy over that. And the child would be reading the text. When he comes to that piece of candy, he says the name and he gets to eat the piece of candy. So he's equating the name of Yahweh with sweetness. The Torah is the sweetness of Yahweh. So the honey is being equated with Torah. When we talked yesterday about keeping the Torah, I didn't really go into much detail because I wanted to cover it here. The Hebrew word keeping is shamar, and I said it meant to guard. More literally, shamar, I'm going to give you a picture because remember, Hebrew words are action-oriented pictures. Is that the shepherd was out with his flock. They're nomadic people. They raise sheep. The shepherd could be out for days at a time away from home, out in the wilderness, the place of order. And if he was going to be out at night, there's predators out there. He had to protect his sheep, his flock. So he would create a corral of thorns. That is the word shamar. Creating a corral of thorns. In fact, the word shamir is another word that means thorns. So when the Bible talks about keeping the Torah, it means put around it a hedge of protection, like thorns, which will keep the predators out. So when we say shomer Torah, keep the Torah, what it's equating to is that honey. They would take the honey hives of the bees and they would place it in the acacia tree. I did a lot of research on this to find out how they did this, but they would take the hives and they would place it in the acacia tree. Why? Because of the thorns. It would protect it from the bears and the other animals that now is being protected from them because of the thorns. The Torah is a picture, or the honey is a picture of the Torah, which is supposed to be protected by the thorns. And this is a physical picture that we see in the Scriptures of how the Hebrews understood these concepts. Is the text starting to come alive for you? Okay, in ways that you didn't know that it could, did you? The acacia wood, one of the species, is a dark acacia. It's called a black acacia, and it's a dark wood. Thick-grained, tightly grained, and it's very dark. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold. Not just gold, but pure gold. Within and without shalt thou overlay it. The imagery that I've had of this verse is that you have this, the ark was made of the acacia wood, a chest, a box, and then they would take gold and overlay the whole thing, and you would now have what looked like a gold box, right? Kind of like a facade. While looking at this, I found that may not be what's going on here, and what always troubled me is the word pure gold. Gold in its natural state is pure. Okay, and it's very malleable. You can take 1 ounce of gold and hammer it down and cover 300 square feet. You can take 1 ounce of gold and string it into a wire that's a mile long. It's very malleable. Remember that God gave wisdom to the crafters and taught them how to work with gold. If you take gold and you pound it that thin, anybody know what happens to it? No? What? You can see through it. It's translucent. Not like a pane of glass, but light can pass through it. What happens if you take a dark surface and put a clear surface over it? What do you have? A mirror? What did I say earlier that the Ark of the Covenant was? A testimony. And a testimony is a what? A mirror. This is a helmet from the Apollo program. It is a gold translucent face shield over the mask, or over it. Why do they use gold? Because it protects them from radiation. And what do you notice about that gold plating on it? What does it look like? It's a mirror. It's a mirror. There's one other evidence to suggest, and I'm not saying that the ark was designed to be a mirror. I think it's possible. Maybe take a little more investigation into this. But there's one more piece of evidence. The Hebrew word for overlay, where it says to overlay it with gold, that Hebrew word is saphah. That same word is used in other places, and it means something what we think of as completely different. He ruleth by his might forever. His eyes observe the nations. That word observe, that's found quite a few times in the Torah, is also the word saphah. So when it's actually saying to overlay it with pure gold, is it possibly saying that to make a mirror over the ark so that it can observe you? And that's why it is a testimony with us. Because we can see ourselves, or the Kohen Gadol, when he goes in, he can see himself in that. That, I believe, is why the Torah, the scroll of the Torah, was placed beside the ark, because now there's 2 of them. There's one in the mirror, and then there's the original. The lid. How do most translations, not most, some of them, King James, how do they translate the lid of the Ark of the Covenant? The mercy seat. The Hebrew word is kaphoret. Kaphoret. It comes from the root kafar. Kafar means to, anybody know? Cover. Where do you think our word cover comes from? Kafar. There's many, many examples. This is a study of Edenics. Rob Miller was talking about it a little bit the other day. This is a study of Edenics. Isaac Moseson has documented 35,000 English words that are directly related to Hebrew.